Hello everybody and Happy New Year. We hope you've had a lovely Christmas and you've had a bit of a break and a rest and time with family. We are kicking off the new year today with our 2 weeks of prayer and fasting as a church. It's our second session back with the children. This Sunday is the 11th of January. And we are going to be beginning a 3-week theme looking at faith, and it will hopefully kind of coincide with what's going on with the prayer and fasting with the adults. So last week we just had a welcome session. We played some games and we talked about the different seasons and how it's a new year and how every day is a day to rejoice and give thanks to God. But today we are starting a 3-week theme all about growing in faith. So it's kind of going to coincide with the prayer and fasting. So Consecrate and Young Saints, your session's going to look slightly different, but all of us are going to start off with a little experiment to help the children kind of understand this idea of faith and trust. So you can pick 3 volunteers to come and stand in front of everybody, and they're going to act out some things. So person 1 is going to act out praying for someone or something. Person 2, they can get a chair and they just need to simply sit on the chair. And person 3, if you can get like a little bag, or they can just pretend, they can put an item into the bag. Then we want to ask everybody, who was the person that had faith, or who was exercising faith? And the obvious answer that everyone might pick would be the person who was praying. But actually, all 3 of these people were exercising faith in some way, because the person who was praying to God to answer their prayer. The second person was trusting that the chair wouldn't fall beneath them, that they could just sit down on the chair and be fine. And the third person was confident that their bag could hold whatever item they put it in, unless they were checking it, which I'm sure they wouldn't. So all of us in everyday life trust various things. We put faith in various things. We do things without even thinking about it. So faith and trust is something that all of us do every single day. So we kind of want to help the children understand that faith is similar to trust. They kind of go hand in hand. And we are to put our faith in God. We are to trust God. As we sit down on a chair and trust that it's going to hold us, or the bag will hold our shopping, that we can trust God, that He is real, that He is with us, and that He has the answers to things. So today is going to be a simple introduction to what is faith, and faith is trust. So with Consecrate, after you guys do that, you're going to get into discussing how faith is like trust, but then you guys are going to read through Hebrews chapter, a verse from 10, or Hebrews 10 to 32 to 11 verse 6, and Hebrews 11 verse 32 to 40. If you want, you can use your stars cards if that helps, and read through these passages, and you're going to go a bit deeper into when our faith is tested, or when our faith has to endure, when we really have to trust God through hard times, and how people from the Bible had to trust God through persecution. So you guys are going to dive a little bit deeper into when that faith is kind of put to the test. So that's Consecrate. There's obviously more details in your notes. For the children, we're going to do the same thing. Start off with that little experiment, and then again talk about how faith is the same as trust, and how we are to put our faith and trust in God. And you can point out Hebrews 11 verse 1, which is our memory verse for this session. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It's the evidence of things we can't see. So maybe even though we can't see God, or we can't always see the answer to our prayer, what's going to happen in a situation, we can trust that God is real, that He is there for us, and that He knows how to answer our prayers in the best way. And then to help the children kind of understand this idea of trust and faith, we're going to use the story of Peter walking on the water. So you can, for the younger ones, you can read from the Biggest Story Bible storybook, chapter 67, A Walk on the Water, and it's got a nice bit in there at the end about like trusting God and not doubting in Him, and there's a little prayer at the end. And then the older group, you can just read the passage which is in Matthew chapter 14, and then all of us are going to have these little posters and a little Peter puppet, so we can kind of use these to help tell the story or recall the story, just to help give them a bit of a visual of Peter walking out on the water. He's trusting Jesus when he's looking at him, but then when he looks at the wind and waves, he starts to lose faith and he gets a bit worried and he starts to sink. But obviously Jesus comes and saves him. So yeah, let's just use that story to help explain to the children how his disciples had faith in him, how we can fix our eyes on Jesus, that he is the one that helps us, we can trust him, that he saves us. So just keeping it quite simple just for this week. And then we can pray and ask God to help us to trust in him. Trust isn't always an easy thing, but God is there to help us to trust in him because he's just so good. Okay, I think that is everything. Maybe with some of the older kids, you might want to play a game, 2 truths and one lie, where you say 2 true facts or statements about yourself, and then you say 1 that's a lie, and then everyone has to guess which one is the lie. So that might be a fun game that with some of the older kids might enjoy playing that. For our craft, we have a spot the difference, and we will send you the answers. We also have a colouring. Here we go, of Peter walking on the water. For our older ones, we have a fill in the missing words from the scripture reference. I'm sure there's leftover like colouring and mazes from last week's like Happy New Year 2026 colouring. So I will put that in your folders as well, just in case you need extra craft and things. And there'll probably be some kids that weren't there last week, so they should enjoy doing that. I believe that's everything for this week's session. We have brand new team training that Dave filmed and wrote last year. So if you don't know already, if you go onto the Youth and Children's tab on mykingdomfaith.com, where you find this teaching, if you go to training, there are 4 short sessions for all of us that's on the team, whether you are brand new or whether you've been serving for years. We would love if everybody could complete this over the next few months. It's just to help all of us be on the same page. It covers various things, but there's a short video to watch and then some notes with it, and then a very short like quiz to go with it. So if you could have a look at that over the next few months, or encourage your team to have a look at that, or you could do it with another team member, that would be amazing and just help us be more on one page and share our tips and tricks. If you have any questions about that, please let Dave or I know. Hopefully we will see you soon over the next few weeks with the encounters and everything going on with the prayer and fasting. If not, we will all be together on the 25th of January for a joint service at Foundry Lane. So hopefully I will see you all then, and I hope you have an amazing session this week. Bye. Thank you.